Hey guys, how's everybody doing today? This is Big Chonis. Remember, you guys can follow me on Twitter. I am at Big Chonis. These are my best ideas. I take technical analysis very serious, and there we go. And I'm a trader. I'm an investor. I'm a mentor. I'm a gardener. I'm a photographer. I'm a chef. Do your own research. Thank you for following me. And if you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up at the bottom if you do like this. Hey Tina. Hey Christian. Hey Adrian. Hey B. Okay, so we're looking at Bitcoin here, and what is going on here. So I wanted to start with our daily chart here because this is kind of give us kind of a much broader understanding here about what's going on. And the first thing I want to talk about is our volume here. Now, we had just wonderful bull volume come in over last week. Really strong money flow. We had just great bullish momentum continue. We had very small pullbacks, and we were able to break out of major resistance areas. Our first, let's do here, let's get rid of our volume for a moment here. Now, our first major resistance area that we were able to break out of was this lower blue line here, which we tested and found support at $5,800. We retested it here at $6,500 and it held, and then we retested it here again at $7,100. Now, once that broke down, this support line was now major resistance, and we crawled all the way back up. We kind of bounced around it, trying to break through, and we broke through. Now, our other major resistance line is this upper line here, which we basically tapped out at 11.6. We tapped out again at 9,999, and we tapped out here at 77.40 until we actually busted through it. So these were two major resistance lines that we were able to really just break through. And whenever you break through a major resistance line, more often than not, you'll find it back test. Now the question is, where and when will Bitcoin correct and come down and back test one of these two lines? And when it actually does, which line is it going to back test? So we have our line here. I'm going to extend it. And we have our line here. I'm going to extend it. So this is kind of our bullish case hold of this line here. It's kind of our bearish case hold of this line here. But you see how far we are from that. We're at 8,100. Our line here isn't until like we break 7,700 here. So there's still a decent amount of distance before we find this line here, which will be very strong support. I have no doubt that when it's touched originally, it will find very strong support. Now, what are some of our resistances above? So we have our 200 MA here, and I'm going to make this a little bit wider. There we go, so you can all see it. So this is our 200 MA. We have not touched it yet. We had our pretty, and I would call this a tweezer top here. I mean, we had the same body candle end. We have a very similar tweezers here of wicks. Now, our previous day here was a little bit higher by a couple bucks than this day. Preferably, we like to see our two wicks basically end at more or less the exact same point. So our second daily wick was a little bit lower. But still, we have some wicks here that basically shows that for now, the bulls are unable to get above $8,500. So this major resistance here, our 200 MA, which we have not touched, is falling and a little over $8,500 right now. So we have, and this 200, as you can see when we go back in time here, this was major resistance here. Once again, we didn't touch it here and we didn't touch it here, but we put similar wicks than we literally just put right here. So there is precedent to basically get close to our 200 MA on our daily, but to not touch it and still feel the rejection from it. Now on our Bollingers here, and I'm going to make those a little bit wider as well, so you guys can see them. There we go. Okay, so this is our bottom and this is our top here. Now you see how we just broke through our upper Bollinger here. Now on a daily standpoint, that's what I would consider a move outside of the standard deviation here. We're on a higher time frame, such as the daily, to break above our upper Bollinger. Now here, I'll give this the benefit of the doubt because how tight we were. So that's what allowed this daily candle to close above our upper Bollinger for 3 days here. It's very rare. Only reason I was able to do that is because they were so tight originally. But now as they spread out and you still pierce the upper part, A, that shows how bullish Bitcoin has been, and B, it shows how much I feel it kind of has to cool off. Now our red line here is our middle Bollinger support, and that just broke 7,000. So this will always be an area, also be an area of potential strong support. Also, our yellow line here is our 55 EMA, and that is racing up as well to basically hold the support there if the price does get down there. But clearly we're seeing a lot of stability here in the price of Bitcoin as we may be flagging. Now let me take a look at some other indicators here. First one I want to look at here is our RSI. Now we found support when we hit this line here, right? Let me just get there, right? Not close enough. So then we found support again once we touched here. Now on our upper line here, we found resistance here, and we found resistance here. So we've broken through this support line, okay, that has held the RSI, at least since the middle of July there. And that's very interesting here. Now, granted, this is a rising, wedge here. I could channel this and make this a little more wider and give this touch here a little more of the benefit of the doubt, where it basically widened out, and this will not be used as our support line here. I guess I can do that just because we still are at an upper angle and we're not running parallels here, but I'll give it just that much benefit of the doubt. If this breaks through this line here, then we're definitely talking about a bearish scenario here where this support line will actually become pretty strong resistance. Looking in our daily stochastics, now we actually do have a bear cross here, where normally when we're up here we do see some sort of a top off, a kind of a comeback, and then a retest, so almost like a double loop-to-loop top. And we're seeing something very similar here where we have our top, we have our double top lower though than our previous one, so we're finding a little bit more weakness. And because our blue line here is crossed down into our red line here, that would be considered a bearish cross there. So something you want to keep an eye on there as well. When if this decides to start to reset, especially on the daily, this could basically come down and do a full reset. Now we were up here for a 718 125. We've been up here for 7 days. So there is precedent to be basically down here in a correction period also for 7 days as well. Something similar to here where we were trying to break out and we had a failed breakout here at the end of May there. So this is showing tiring on the stochastics on the daily, especially with a higher time frame like the daily, to see this turn here. That is definitely notable. Our MACD is still very bullish. We basically have yet to kind of do a crossover there, but a daily dip on Bitcoin could definitely change those parameters. And our OBV is strong. This is definitely a load up and hold of our OBV, where people are basically loading up Bitcoin and still long, still trying to find if we have that next push higher there. Let's go to a lower time frame and see what we can find out here. Now, on the 4 hour here, and we'll start with the Bollingers and kind of move from there. Now you see once again here, once we broke out bullish up our upper Bollinger there, it took a couple candles for it to get back in play. Look where our red line here, this is our middle Bollinger support on our 4 hour right at 81.30. If this line is tested, it will be support, at least initially. So a break of where we are now and a pull down to around be almost $100 dip basically in Bitcoin definitely puts our support line, still in play here on this middle BB. Now, if this were to break, we're watching our lower BB as it slowly races up here, and currently that's at $7,700. It's also above our major resistance turn support lines here, our two blue lines here. So we have a lot of stuff underneath the current price of Bitcoin that could support it, and of course we have resistances above. A bull break, I'm looking for our upper Bollinger, to act as some resistance there as well. 4 hour RSI, similar here. We're still in a bullish area here, being able to hold 60s on the 4 hour RSI. That's very good there. So there's still bullish momentum. We're going to just slightly adjust here our RSI here and our support line, and you can clearly see from a touch here a very nice hold and bounce here. We held it one more time, and now we've broken through. So again, this is another, I would consider this bearish signal that our RSI and our overall bullish strength now is continuing to basically weaken, and that's something you want to basically keep note of, because now this support line is now going to act as resistance line if tested above. And on our stochastics here, we still are also looking at a continued bearish cross there where we did reset, we came up, and now we're basically resetting back down there. So this is still showing a bearish cross on the 4-hour as well. And our MACD has crossed bearish and continues to do so. So higher time frames are still showing some bullishness in the market, but lower time frames are still showing some bearishness. And as the price kind of wiggles around here, what kind of volume are we looking at here? Still look at our volume here. It's very much declining. Now we're looking for a point where selling basically subdues. Now we see a similar situation in this cluster of volume about from, let's say, July 20th. 22nd here, very low volume, okay, trickle up in price, okay, and then that led to this next pop in bull volume, basically showing that the selling had dried up, as well as the stability in price allowed the Bollingers to basically come back in and tighten up. Notice here when they got tight, this was basically what was going to happen from another major move was definitely possible here. So I'm going to look at longs and shorts on Bitcoin, and then we will go right to the chat room and see what everybody's saying there. So this is our Bitcoin shorts. Now, if you've been shorting this market the past couple weeks here, you have not been doing so well. Every little pop in Bitcoin, people started to short, assuming some sort of a nice pullback, and it never came. And look how much shorts have been liquidating here. We are back down testing previous lows right here that we have not seen since the end of May there. So this is definitely significant here, as we're just seeing no one wants to short this market right now because you've just been on the losing side of that trade. We hide our BBs here so you can see a little better here. Now this was our falling wedge that we did break bullish out of, and now we basically tried to retest it there. There's a very good possibility that shorts could just continue to fall off a cliff here, and if they do, I would looking for a support bounce if we then retest our falling wedge here on the down somewhere here, but that would be quite more of a capitulation, signaling potentially a bullish move in Bitcoin. If this line starts to re-trickle up here, I would be looking for continued bearishness in Bitcoin, but right now people are very timid to short this market. Bitcoin longs. Now, okay, so we just had a really nice run in Bitcoin, moved up very nicely. Longs sold off. So what does this mean to me? This means people took profit. This means longs basically took profit. They basically longed this here. They had a good trade. They had a winning trade here. And they're like, all right, money made. I'm pulling out here. And a lot of this money now, I think, is continuing to sit on the sidelines, waiting for the next kind of move in Bitcoin to really show itself. We have not seen that yet. We have not seen Bitcoin's major move yet. Until that happens, this is probably going to stay down here until a little more confidence can be shown in the market of Bitcoin. I think people are waiting for a real correction, which we have not seen yet. And until you start to seeing that, I would not be surprised if the Bitcoin longs kind of stay mired here until more direction in Bitcoin can be achieved. Let's go back to Bitcoin here, and then we'll hop into our chat room. So once again, guys, thank you so much for joining me. 100 of my favorite friends here. Let's see here. Hey, Jane. Hey, Melon. Hey, Rupee. Hey, I owned Christian. What's up, Carl? Long Range Crypto. Kyle Kraft. How are you, my friend? Maximilian checking in from corporate America. How are things going in corporate America this week? Carl V says, weekly MACD approaching bull cross. 3-day indicators are strong. What's up, blockchain? Yeah, this is true. We're still seeing consistent bullish indicators here. And until this breaks here, it's going to be the same. Now, let's see if we can find any patterns here. We'll use the 4-hour as an example. Right? I'm kind of just auto us off here and get a little lower. So what kind of a pattern here are we putting in on Bitcoin's 4 hours? So this is our resistance here, clearly. And let's see, sort of a port here. So we're basically penning, if not symmetric triangle, That's pretty darn close to a symmetric triangle right there. I like the symmetry of our top and our bottom. You see our wicks right there. That's a little better here. So yeah, it's a symmetric triangle, but it's also a pennant. It's also a bull pennant, basically something like that. Okay, now this hasn't broken yet, and we've seen a couple circumstances where a bear break flips around to a bull breakout. I think we saw that in ZRX the past couple days where it seemed like it was collapsing and then just did a complete turnaround. Or was that Lumen? I don't know. We'll check it out. So, this is something to watch where a break of this support line, which are basically breaking under 8150, watch for that scoop up, because so far, if you've scooped up Bitcoin on the low, you've been rewarded. Even the most recent one where Bitcoin bottomed to 8060 and went back up to 82.90. So there was a $200 trade there if you went long and you bought into the blood. Now, when do you decide when there is blood? So let's look at a lower time frame here. We're looking at our 30-minute here, and you can see on our RSI when we do touch our 30 level here, you've basically been rewarded with a long purchase. Same over here. When you hit 30 down here, you were rewarded with a long. When we broke into our overbought area here at 88, if you had taken profit here, and then a lower high here. We had a lower high, okay? We had a higher high in the price of Bitcoin. So that was your first bearish diversion there, where you had a lower RSI with a higher Bitcoin price, which basically showed the price could not have been sustained there. So a lot of day traders here are just basically looking at an oversold RSI, scooping it up when it hits an overbought area, potentially selling, and is waiting for this RSI line to fall back under 30 on a lower time frame. But you can clearly see this is our pattern shaping up right here. Get that a little tighter, okay? We have this very clean wedge triangle here, okay? We have a little longer bottom there, which means that our top is being touched more often. So this is still bullishness we're seeing here. Now our white line, which is our 200 MA, is being rejected here by the price on the 15-minute. Again, this is a 15-minute chart. This is a scalping chart. This is a quick flip chart. Our day traders, our swing traders, they're on the 4-hour, they're on the 6-hour, they're on higher time frames, looking for higher time frame trades. So a lot of your time frames really have a lot to do with what kind of a trader you are, and the rules that you've chosen to abide by in certain circumstances. So on a 4-hour, if the RSI is too low, maybe you buy only when the stochastics basically reset. So far, you've been very, very rewarded if that's happened. You buy when the stochastics is oversold. You can sell when the stochastics is overbought. You can reload when it's oversold. You can sell when it's overbought. This has been a very winning trade as well. And you can basically see that pattern take place when you are in a bullish uptrend, where every correction leads to a pop higher. So until that changes, the bulls are going to continue to scoop up cheap Bitcoin and see if it can run higher. Let's go back to our chat room here. What's up, Massimo? What's up, Darius? Hey, Maximilian. That totally sucks. My time will come. Thanks. I appreciate all the kind words there. B7 Oaks, you're quite welcome. Hey, Diane. What's going on? Am I in a BTC position right now? I am not. I'm currently not in a BTC position. I am just waiting. It's just, I don't like to use the word no trade zone, but for me right now, I'm seeing too much confliction, and I'm not prepared to go long, and I am prepared to basically scoop up on some dips. And what I'm really waiting for, to be quite honest, is a dip and a touch of these support lines here. This is our major supports. I mean, I could bring up the MAs, I could bring up historical support zones, I could bring up the Bollingers, but these major resistance lines now turn support are really what I want to see, are my kind of juicy potential bounce areas we can get down here. And we're talking about levels under 8,000. You know, a decent correction puts us basically to 76 to $7,700. That's what I'm looking for. Now I might be crazy. I might be, completely waiting for a very long time because Bitcoin might continue its bullish push into the 8,000s here. But how much of this bull run is ETF related? How much of this is the ETF pump that was supposed to be a meeting in like August 10th about the potential ETF approval by the SEC? They pushed that later in the month, maybe now to September. So how much of that oomph can be used in pushing Bitcoin higher here? We keep seeing bullish signs, we keep seeing bullish flags, we keep seeing very nice money flow. Where is is it this one? Yeah. So let's go back to home here. Where the heck is home? There we go. Market cap. Okay, so look at, we are at $300 billion. If you can see right up top here on our market cap. Now I almost see this as kind of a resistance area, and I could be totally crazy, but when we get back to achieve certain areas, because we were at, I want to say, 2.25 a couple weeks ago. So we've added almost $75 billion in market value to crypto, which is wonderful. Look at this number here, cryptocurrency, 1,680. So that's up like 30 more. There's 30 more coins available on exchanges than there were like a week ago. Now that spreads out the money. I almost see that as continuously bearish when more coins are added as they drop off. Now we're seeing other coins totally dropping off, and that actually has a lot to do with some of the bearishness in some of these coins here. But overall, we're kind of basically talk about Bitcoin here and see what kind of money flow is coming in. Now, on our historic data here, we've been bouncing around. We were super low. We were in the 3 billions, the 4 billions, 2 billions. Past couple days here, 4 billion, 3, 3, 5, 7, 5, and we're in the mid fours for today. So we'll probably cap out somewhere around $5 billion. So this is decent. This is better money flow. It's not the best. We've seen more. We want to see better money flow, but this is a start. But how strong is this 300 billion resistance on market cap going to be? Let's take a look at Litecoin. Hey Jose, what's up, my brother? So let me find which Litecoin chart I want to take a look at. Actually, before we get into USD, let's take a look at BTC. So this is Litecoin BTC. Now this is our ratio. This is basically Bitcoin to Litecoin. See over here, Litecoin is roughly a little over 1% of the valuation of Bitcoin. Now we see on our 6 hour, we see back over here in last December, this is when Bitcoin started to run. Litecoin from a valuation kind of stayed put. And then once Bitcoin topped off, a flood of money flew into Litecoin. And Litecoin's ratio went from a low, I want to say it hit 0.05. So roughly 0.5% of Bitcoin. Yeah, right there, right? That was our bottom. And we peaked out at a price ratio of almost 2.5% of the price of Bitcoin when Litecoin, from a USD perspective, broke over $400. We're coming all the way back here, guys. I mean, look at this. We're coming all the way back, and we're about to test a very historic zone of support here. I'm looking for this area to hold. We can see the history of this roughly 1% ratio to Bitcoin, but we also see us breaking it and finding support at 0.6, and again, when we really broke it, finding support here at 0.5. So this is continuous bearish divergence on Litecoin to Bitcoin, where when Bitcoin rises, Litecoin rises slower and not as high. When Bitcoin falls, Litecoin falls quicker and more severe. So that was that. Where's my other Litecoin chart? Litecoin BTC. All right. Well, I had two. Now I only have one. I don't get it. Okay. Oh, there it is. Duh. Yikes. Okay, so what do I got here? So oh yeah, these were my channels here. Let's take a look and see what we have here. So this was our previous bear channel. Okay, so there's a bull channel here. I'm looking at it right here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to convert this one down to here. I want to do a stop out there. This is where we peaked, right? And let's do that. And let's angle this slightly lower to give that a bull trap wick. Yeah, that feels good because we're finding support here, and our middle channel here is acting as very strong resistance where we can clearly see that the price touched it right there. So this is the channel I'm watching here. You know, our support line can rise this way. Our resistance line can be up here. You know, Bitcoin and Litecoin have been, you know, you've been watching this tandomness. So when Bitcoin can run, Litecoin, as I just said, can run, but at a slower pace. But the continued bearishness is here. Now, this white line here, this is our 200 on our 6 hour. You can clearly see the resistance here and the resistance here that it's currently playing on Litecoin. A bull break of this line, which would basically be Litecoin 88, 89, 90, would be significant as the 6 hour 200-day MA has been strong. Looking here on our daily, and it's funny how the 200 MA on Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin are very close, where the 200 MA on Litecoin and the price of Litecoin are so far away. So a comparable move on Litecoin to Bitcoin should have Litecoin in around $140, $130. So you see another example here of that bearishness. We're seeing slowing money flow here, and our yellow line here, which is our 55 EMA, will also act as strong resistance if tested, currently about $93 here. Let's look at some other indicators here. We do have our daily RSI. Now we're definitely chugging here. It's very tight range here. Let's tighten this up a little bit. You know, we are finding support down here. We are finding support on this green dotted line here, and we really are pretty high above it here. So there's room to fall and touch and test our green support line and still be in an overall, you know, kind of bullish momentum there in Litecoin. But again, Bitcoin corrects and Litecoin will continue to correct as well. We do see our stochastics here is very tight, still bullish, you know, still in a bullish uptrend here. We have not seen any kind of a cross at all. Let's go to a lower time frame, see if we see anything different. Now our 4 hour says we're correcting here. Our 4 hour says we're correcting pretty definitively, and let's see this stochastic get down here to our reset area. Remember, we didn't get as low last time. We only got to about here, and then we shot back up. So I want to see more of a fuller correction on the stochastics on Litecoin, especially in the 4 hour. Definitely be something I want to keep an eye on there. Whew. So, you know, these are still things that we're watching here. You know, I was asked if I'm going to trade. I'm not. I'm in a wait and see period here. I want to see what happens to Bitcoin. People are waiting for this correction to take place here. You know, this was our support last night. We broke through it. We're clearly we're clearly from a charting standpoint here. We're clearly flagging still. This is still a bullish pattern here, you know, until proven otherwise. And to prove otherwise would basically be a break of our lower flag support. Just hasn't happened yet. We had two nice touches here. Again, this is the 4 hour. These are bull wicks here. We touched it, held support, touched it again, held support, and we're seeing where our upper resistance line is here as well. So until people stop taking profit at our line here and stop buying at our support line here, you know, this will continue. And this is a great example of channel trading here. It was once our top line is set and our bottom line is set, you knew a bounce was going to take us at least to our top line here. That's why you basically had profit taking when this 8,300 area was eventually reached. So keep an eye on this here, see how these lines support. A break of 8,000 2,000, you want to see if buyers are going to rush in. That would correspond potentially with another test of our lower flag support here, especially on our 4 hour. And guys, stick to higher time frames. I mean, you can look at a 15-minute, especially if you're scalping, and the quick moves can really, fake you out. Like this dump here, 15 minutes, 82.65 to 81.94. It happened in a half hour. It seems severe, but if you didn't react to it, you can basically see how the price was able to kind of climb back up closer to where this dump started. So don't be shaken out by these quick moves here. So far, every bloody dip has been bought up. And now, but on lower time frames, we're now seeing our 200 MA, which was acting as support here on our bounce, is now acting as resistance. So we're still seeing weakness on the bounces. We're still seeing some weakness in the money flow, but Bitcoin as a whole overall is still very, very strong. Whew. All right. Thank you guys in the chat room for joining me today. I think it's lunchtime, so I'm going to go grab something to eat. Remember, you guys can follow me on Twitter here. I am at Big Chonis. I am working on a mentoring project for August. I'm going to announce very soon. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's a good opportunity that I can get to know some of you guys that have been DMing me and reaching out to me, and I can potentially help you guys with some of your trading and talk about some of the issues in your trading that has potentially caused you to have some losing trades. And I think being able to have a one-on-one conversation with somebody and get a sense of kind of what's wrong, what maybe you're doing wrong, and some great tips that can help you prevent making, continuing to make trading mistakes, can make you really a stronger trader and a more profitable trader. And so these are some of the things I'd like to accomplish in my mentoring sessions going into August. But it'll be a couple more days before I release some information on that. Until then, guys, remember, Bitcoin is a heartbeat. All you need to do is trade your pulse, trade the pulse. I really appreciate your support. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Until then, we'll stay in touch. I'll keep an eye on things, and I'll keep putting out some really good Twitter content as well. Until next time, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Peace out.